Welcome to Book Summary Podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're jumping into a really foundational text, I think, especially for young leaders and really anyone ambitious. It's Sean Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens.
Yeah, and it's so much more than just a guide. It's a blueprint, really. A system designed to help you handle all the pressure of being a teenager, a young adult.
And we've tried to pull out the most actionable tools, the banking system, that time model, to get straight to the core of it all.
It's good to know the backstory, too. Sean Covey, he played college football. He's an author himself, but he's really channeling the work of his father, Stephen R. Covey.
From the original 7 Habits, of course.
Right, but he makes it so much more accessible. He uses cartoons, quotes, stories that are just, incredibly relatable for a younger audience.
So before we get into the nuts and bolts of the habits, what's the big picture here? What's the main goal of this whole thing?
The ultimate goal is to build what he calls a principle-centered life. I mean, the core idea is pretty powerful. First, we make our habits, and then our habits make us.
And a principle-centered life.
Yeah.
That's built on things that don't change, right?
Exactly. Things like honesty, integrity, service. Timeless ideas that give you a stable anchor. Which is, a huge contrast to centering your life on stuff that's unstable.
Like possessions or even friendships, which can change so fast.
For sure. That just leads to confusion and disappointment. This is about finding something solid to build on.
And the habits themselves, they build on each other in a really logical way. You can't just skip to the end.
Absolutely not. The structure is everything. Habits 1, 2, and 3 are all about you. It's what Covey calls the private victory, self-mastery.
Foundation.
Your foundation. Then habits 4, 5, and 6 move outward to teamwork and relationships. That's the public victory.
And then the last one holds it all together.
Habit 7, renewal. That's what keeps the whole engine running.
Okay, so let's dig into that foundation. The private victory. It actually starts with a metaphor, not a habit. The personal bank account, or PBA.
Yeah, the PBA. It's basically your internal measure of self-trust. It's how you really, truly feel about yourself.
So every action is either a deposit or a withdrawal.
Exactly. When you act in a way that aligns with your values, you make a deposit. Your confidence goes up. But when you break a promise to yourself, or you're dishonest, that's withdrawal. And your self-respect takes a hit.
And I can see how that connects to everything else.
Yeah.
If you have low self-trust, you're always looking for it somewhere else.
Precisely. The number one symptom of a poor PBA is caving to peer pressure. You just don't have that internal security to say no.
So what are some of those deposits?
Well, the obvious ones are keeping promises to yourself, being honest. But the one I think is often overlooked is service. Covey tells this great story about helping a mom at an airport who was struggling with her luggage.
Right.
And he says that small act of kindness, it didn't just help her, it gave him a huge boost, a massive deposit into his own PBA.
That internal validation, that's a perfect bridge to the first habit then. Be proactive.
It is. If the PBA is your self-worth, then being proactive is about self-control. Proactive people are the drivers of their lives.
And reactive people are the passengers.
They're just passengers, getting knocked around by whatever happens to them. They blame other people. They use language like, I can't. They're focused on things they have zero control over.
So how do you actually do it?
Yeah.
In that moment when something bad happens, how does a proactive person stop that knee-jerk reaction?
There's a tool for it. He calls it push-pause. In that tiny space between what happens to you, the stimulus, and how you respond, you have a choice.
And in that pause, you use these 4 human tools.
That's it. You use self-awareness to even see the impulse, conscience to know what's right, imagination to picture a better response, and willpower to actually do it.
Wow. So freedom is really just the size of that pause.
It really is. Proactive people don't let their emotions get dictated by the outside world. They turn a setback into a learning opportunity.
Okay, so once we have control over our responses, habit 2 says we need a destination. Begin with the end in mind.
This is the blueprint phase, yeah. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, so why build a life without one?
And that blueprint is the personal mission statement.
Right, it's your personal constitution. It clarifies your deepest values, what really matters to you, and it acts as a filter for all your decisions. When you face a tough choice, you just ask, does this fit with my mission?
The book warns about a few watch-outs when you're creating that mission, though. What are the traps to avoid?
3 main ones. First, don't internalize negative labels that other people stick on you.
If someone calls you lazy enough, you start to believe it.
Exactly. Second, watch out for self-defeating beliefs, like thinking one failure means it's all over. And third, and this is a big one, don't chase goals that aren't actually yours, goals that society or your friends pressure you into.
Which sets us up for habit 3. But first things first, we have the control from habit 1, we have the direction from habit 2. Now we need to actually do the work.
And this is, frankly, where most people struggle. This is the hardest part. It's about discipline. It's doing what you need to do even when you don't feel like it.
And this is where that famous time quadrants model comes in.
Yes. This is one of the most practical tools in the whole book. It's not about managing time. It's about managing yourself.
Let's break those quadrants down really quickly.
Okay, so quadrant 1 is urgent and important. This is the procrastinator zone. Crises, deadlines. Living here just leads to stress and burnout.
And quadrant 4 is the opposite.
Right. Neither important nor urgent. The slacker zone. Mindless scrolling, time wasters.
So the goal, the place you want to live, is quadrant 2.
That's the sweet spot. Quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. This is the prioritizer zone. Planning, exercise, relationship building, learning new skills.
So spending time in Q2 actually makes Q1 smaller.
It shrinks it because you're preventing crises before they happen. But to do that, you need what the book calls won't power. The power to say no to things that pull you into the other quadrants.
And saying no can be uncomfortable.
It means stepping out of your comfort zone and into your courage zone. I mean, that's where all the growth happens.
Okay, so that's the private victory. We're in control, we're prioritized. Now we move outward to the public victory, which starts with another bank account, the relationship bank account, or RBA.
Right, the RBA. It's the same idea as the PBA, but you have a separate account with every single person you interact with, your friends, your parents, everyone.
And the currency is trust.
The currency is trust. Deposits are things like keeping promises, being loyal, really listening. They build up that trust.
But there's a key difference here from the PBA, isn't there?
There is, and it's a huge one. Deposits, they kind of fade over time. You have to keep making them. But withdrawals
Can be catastrophic.
They can be. Breaking a promise, being disloyal, those things do lasting damage. It can take years of work to rebuild the trust from one big withdrawal.
That really drives home the importance of habit 4. Think win-win. But, that can sound a little naive. The world feels very zero-sum sometimes.
It does, and that's exactly why you have to get the private victory first. If you're insecure, if your PBA is low, you automatically assume there's a limited amount of success to go around. That's a win-lose mindset.
If you win, I must lose.
Right. But a secure person, someone with high PBA, understands that success isn't a pie you have to fight over. You can collaborate and bake a bigger pie for everyone. Covey calls it an all-you-can-eat buffet of opportunity.
So if win-win is the goal, what are the other mindsets we need to avoid?
Well, there's win-lose, which we talked about. There's lose-win, which is the doormat mentality, always giving in, which just leads to resentment.
And worst of all,
Lose-lose, where it's all about revenge. I'm going down, you're coming with me. Total destruction.
And the book warns about 2 internal enemies of win-win, what does he call them? The tumor twins.
Yes. Comparing and competing. Constantly comparing yourself to other people just robs you of joy. And competing, especially with friends or family, turns life into a battle instead of a collaboration.
Which leads right into habit 5. And this might be the toughest one for a lot of us. Seek first to understand, then to be understood.
It's so hard because our first instinct is to jump in with our own opinion, our own advice. But the book says the deepest need of the human heart is to feel valued and understood.
I love that quote. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
It's everything. If you haven't shown that you genuinely care and understand their perspective, your advice is just noise. It won't land.
And a problem is, we think we're good listeners, but we're usually not.
We fall into these 5 poor listening styles. We might be spacing out, just waiting for our turn to talk, or pretend listening, with the uh-huhs and nods.
Or selective listening, just hearing the parts we agree with.
Right. Or even worse, word listening, where you hear the words but you miss the emotion behind them. And finally, self-centered listening, where you relate everything they say back to your own life.
So what does real listening look like?
It's listening with your eyes, to see their body language, your heart, to sense the emotion, and your ears for the words. You have to reflect back what you're hearing and feeling from them. And only then, only after they feel truly heard, can you move to the second part and express your own view.
And all of that sets the stage for the peak of teamwork. Habit 6, synergize.
Synergy is that creative magic. It's the idea that when you work together, the result is something better than any of you could have come up with alone.
It's the 1 + 1 = 3 idea.
Exactly. And it's not compromise. Compromise is 1 + 1 = 1.5. Everyone gives something up. Synergy is finding a new, higher way that works better for everyone.
The book uses some great examples from nature.
Oh, yeah. Like sequoia trees. Their roots don't go deep. They spread out and intertwine with each other. That's what gives them the collective stability to withstand storms.
Or geese flying in a V formation.
Right. They can fly so much farther together than any single bird could alone. It's all about celebrating differences, not just tolerating them.
So there are levels to it.
Yeah. 3 levels, yeah. You can shun differences, which is the worst. You can tolerate them, which is meh. Or you can celebrate them and see them as a strength. That's where synergy lives.
Okay, so we've built the foundation and we've built the relationships. Now for the final habit that keeps it all going. Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
This is the renewal habit. You can't be effective if you're burnt out. You just can't. The book breaks it down into 4 key dimensions: body, brain, heart, and soul.
And the warning is that they're all connected.
They're completely interconnected. If you neglect your body, your brain gets foggy, your heart gets irritable. You can't just focus on one and let the others go.
So let's start with the body.
For the body, it's the basics. Exercise, good nutrition, enough sleep. But the focus is on health and strength, not just looking a certain way. And the book is a really practical tool here for teens, the refusal skill.
What are the steps for that? That sounds really useful.
It's a 5-step script for saying no under pressure. First, you ask questions. Then you name the trouble, you state the consequences, you suggest an alternative, and if all else fails, you take off. You just leave.
A clear plan. I like that. Okay, what about the brain?
Mental renewal is about being a lifelong learner. Read, challenge your mind, manage your screen time. The big message for a learner is not to get so fixated on one path, like one college major, but to focus on acquiring skills that are versatile.
Keep that curiosity engine running.
Always.
Then we have the heart, our emotional life.
Yeah, this is about making those RBA deposits in your key relationships. But it's also about your relationship with yourself, laughter, self-forgiveness. The book also, wisely, advises caution and deep respect when it comes to intimacy and relationships.
And finally, the soul, spiritual renewal.
This can be anything from time in nature to journaling to meditation, but a huge part of it is managing your spiritual diet, the media you're consuming. And this is where he uses that brilliant fried frogs metaphor.
Explain that one for us.
If you drop a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out immediately. But if you put it in cool water and slowly, gradually turn up the heat,
It won't notice.
it won't notice. It gets desensitized and boils. And the metaphor is a warning against letting yourself become slowly desensitized to negative or harmful content. You have to be an active participant in your life, not just a passive consumer.
Just have been such a clear map for building a principled life. We went from the private victory, your PBA, being proactive, having an end in mind, prioritizing, all the way to the public victory with win-win relationships and synergy. And all of it sustained by Habit 7 renewal.
And the real power is in the small daily choices. It's not about one grand gesture. It reminds me of that old aphorism that just summarizes the whole process so perfectly.
Go on.
Sow a thought and you reap an act, sow an act and you reap a habit, sow a habit and you reap a character, sow a character and you reap a destiny.
You can't turn off the challenges of real life, but you can choose the character you build to face them. So, for the ambitious learner listening right now, what small quadrant 2 deposit will you make today into your personal bank account to ensure your character aligns with the destiny you envision?
If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps me keep bringing you great book summaries every week.